become a habit of it women, and when the male component is higher than that of women. This causes men to engage in sexual harassment. Such things, such things are sometimes unexpected, and behaviors are done consciously and unconsciously. However, the harassment is done secretly so that it does not. The cause of sexual harassment also stems from demographic theory, where when the atmosphere of the company is not balanced between men and women. An unbalanced company atmosphere means when the company is dominated by any race, whether male or female. If men dominate a company, the company is more likely to be sexual harassed. This is because men are more powerful due to their large numbers, so that the feeling of
Thank you for your insightful speech, Professor Dr. Aiman Hafizuddin. In our time, the sophistication and convenience of is also one of the reasons. Will be on the victim.
Based on the research we have done on the effects faced by victims of sexual harassment, we found that we will often associate it will injure on the physical aspect only, right? Yet, we also cannot ignore the fact that sexual harassment also confuses the mental aspect of the victim. Without the need for a longer review, of course, we all know that it will harm the victim. To your knowledge, it is a film that turns sex into a weapon and is driven by a desire to control someone completely. This includes serious films such as rape, sodomy, absurdity, or underage sex, even based on homosexuality. As a result, it will inevitably affect the physical and mental well-being of the victim, and even worse result in death. According to an estimate once made, about 1 in 4 women have and 1 in 10 men have ever or are experiencing sexual harassment in their lifetime. But don't think that it only involves skin-to-skin contact. Several types can be categorized as sexual harassment. The effects of being a victim of sexual harassment can have an impact on psychological, physical well-being, and professional development. Psychological and physical reaction to harassment may include three, which is physical reaction, psychological reaction, and career-related effects. For physical reaction problems that you will experience are hitches, lethargy, sexual problems, gastrointestinal distress, dermatological reaction, phobia, panic reaction, sleep disturbance, nightmare, and weight fluctuation. For psychological reaction problems that you will experience are depression, anxiety, shock, denial, anger, fear, frustration, irritability, insecurity, embarrassment, feelings of betrayal, confusion, feelings of being powerless, shame, self-consciousness, low self-esteem, greed, self-blame, and isolation. The last one is career-related effects. Example are decreases job satisfaction, poor performance appraisal, loss of job or promotion, change of career goals, employment, education program, academic major, absence, resignation from work or school, decreases academic performance or work due to stress. Here, we can see the various negative effects that can happen to a victim's body as a whole. It can be concluded that both the physical and mental aspects are more or less equally heavy and will affect life. If all these effects are combined, then there will be several damage to the body and cause more devastating effects such as suicide.
Sorry for interrupt Mr. Kamaru. There are also studies that report that sexual harassment can affect the health of the victim. The victim will experience anxiety, stress, rapid rise of inflammation and other signs, food stress, job satisfaction and job performance of the victim will also increase. Eventually, the employers involved will be fired or quit their job. Sexual harassment was also found to have a negative impact on company productivity. Wilson reported that sexual harassment can cost a company approximately USD 6.7 million per year due to decreased productivity, decreased morale, increased absenteeism, and employers turnover. Langley Hall also states that sexual harassment can affect the competitiveness of a company due to problems that arise such as psychological problems, decreased productivity, unwanted publicity, and legal action.
Thank you, Mr. Kamaru Islam and Professor Dr. Aiman Hafizuddin for the well-informative deliverance of speech. It truly broadened my knowledge on our topic of sexual harassment. With that, I would like to call out our last panel, Mr. Yasser from the Police Sexual Crime Division, to explain furthermore on what we can do or what is the best solution to avoid the incidents.
Thank you, Mr. Lukman. The solution to sexual harassment in the workplace is that employers need to provide support for employees. Set up your human resources department to answer any questions employees may have about training or harassment incidents. Update and republish policy statements annually and provide training annually. Obtain a signed acknowledgement form from each participant indicating that he or she understands the company's policy against harassment and file a signed acknowledgement in an employment file kept in the Human Resources Department. Second, the solution to sexual harassment in the workplace is to report the harassment to your employer. You must report harassment because your employer must know or have reason to know about the harassment in order to be legally responsible for a co-worker, client, or client sexual harassment behavior. Tell your supervisor, your human resources department, or some other department or person in your company who has the authority to stop the disruption. It is best to notify them in writing and keep a copy of any written complaints you make to your employer. Describe the problem and how you want it fixed. This makes a written note of when you complain and what happened in response. If there is a policy that employees must follow when reporting harassment, you should follow that policy as much as possible. Next, the solution to sexual harassment is get legal counsel. Contact your company's attorney for professional legal advice on your written policy. Ask him to review the completeness and ensure the policy clearly defines harassment in accordance with federal, state, and local employment laws. You can also contact the county or county office at the US Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. For technical guidance on the preparation of anti-harassment policy statements, the EEOC enforces Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act 1964, which is one of the laws prohibiting discriminatory employment practices. I would like to inform you about the Employment Act 1955. In 2012, sexual harassment was included under Section 15A of the Employment Act 1955. The definition of sexual harassment was given under Section 2. This defines sexual harassment as any unwanted conduct of a sexual nature, whether verbal, non-verbal, visual, gestural, or physical, is addressed to a person who is offensive or embarrassing or is a threat to his or her well-being, arising from and while he or she is working. This is limited to sexual harassment in the workplace. Part 15A, Sections 81A to 81G sets out how to complain of sexual harassment in the workplace and the mandatory obligation to ask by employers about sexual harassment complaints. It also lists the appropriate actions that employers should take if sexual harassment is proven. Unfortunately, the Act has many limitations. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yasir, for your information regarding the solution of sexual harassment. As conclusion, I hope this insightful forum on sexual harassment has broadened each one of you to be informative on what is sexual harassment, how it is happened, how it is caused, and most importantly, what is the solution to overcome any encounters of sexual harassment. All women and men need to be extra careful and take precaution measures to avoid any incident of sexual harassment, and consequences should be upheld to those guilty and no remorse. Victim blaming should not be practiced in any situation. On behalf of the panel, I would like to thank you to all panel for having a time to attend our forum today. We got a lot of information from your speech. I hope we can meet again on others forum. Assalamualaikum. Thank you.